Sometimes we don't have much time as songwriters, or sometimes we might start feeling some pressure as songwriters that we feel like we have a bunch of things to do that are really kind of hard, difficult parts of the process, and we just need a break and to get a couple of wins, if you will, check some things off the list that are just easier to accomplish and will make us re-fall in love with the art of songwriting. So in this video, we're going to talk about 5 low-pressure songwriting things to do. The first low-pressure songwriting activity to do is to simply come up with song ideas. And the key here is you are only coming up with ideas. You are not putting pressure on yourself to start writing songs. You're simply sitting there trying to think of different song ideas. And you can, of course, utilize your computer, utilize Google to search for things. Something that can be really helpful is just search longful art or something and do a Google image search, and then you'll see a bunch of pictures that might evoke different story ideas in you, or they might give you an interesting symbolism. That's the basic idea here, is go out and find some lyrical ideas. The second thing to do that is low pressure is to simply improvise with your instrument of choice. The reality is that improvisation tends to be at the very heart of songwriting. If you think about it, when you're writing music, effectively for most of us, what we're doing is not literally writing music in, notation. Usually what we're doing is we're sitting at our instrument of choice, playing around, noodling, whatever term you want to use, with that instrument until we find something that we find really interesting or profound or that just really clicks with us. So for me, most often that involves me sitting at the piano or keyboard and thinking to myself, what key should I choose? Let's do F sharp major. Why not? And then I start improvising. And then eventually I might come up with something really interesting that I like, or maybe I'll make a key change, right? I might go to A minor or something like that. Or lately I've been playing a lot with the Phrygian mode because it sounds super awesome. I like how it's really quite dark, but it sort of has that extra flair to it. It sounds a little exotic, sort of. I really, really, really love that mode. So I've been playing around with that. Improvisation is at the heart of songwriting, but it also can just be fun to do for the sake of it. So even if you improvise for half an hour or an hour, if you don't put the pressure of I must come up with a song idea, it can just be fun. And hey, if you come up with song ideas, great. If you don't, who cares? It's fine. It was still fun. You were still improving your skill at improvisation, and you still were improving your skill at playing whatever that instrument was. Now, a key here is you should improvise intentionally, though. So maybe picking, say, a mode intentionally that you want to work in, or a key intentionally. Maybe you write most songs in major keys. So maybe you want to intentionally choose to actually improvise in a minor key instead, or maybe go one step further and do what I'm talking about and do the Phrygian mode, which, if you don't know, Phrygian mode is basically just the minor scale, the minor key, but it also has a flatted second. The third thing to do, and it's kind of connected to something I already mentioned, but if you already have sort of started developing a song or started working on the lyrics of a song, but you've sort of hit a wall, something you can do is just go to Google Images and search for art or pictures or whatever meets your fancy or whatever's most helpful to you, and find pictures that evoke the emotions or just contain the things that your song is talking about, right? So maybe if your song sort of rotates around this idea of climbing up Mount Everest or something as an analogy, or maybe literally, finding pictures of Mount Everest and putting that in your document where you're going to be songwriting might actually be helpful to you, because it's really easy to just do a Google search for pictures, right? There's really no pressure there, but that can be something that actually helps you down the line with your songwriting and re-inspires you and makes it easier to write lyrics and write music when you have that picture or those pictures and art in front of you that inspires you. Think of it sort of like the opposite of what I know Brandon Sanderson, the famous fantasy writer, does, where he actually listens to music that fits the sort of vibe of the chapter he's writing when he's writing. So he's writing his book, right, his fantasy book, and he's listening to soundtrack music usually that sort of evokes the feeling that he wants to have in that chapter. So this is sort of a different twist on that, where we're actually using pictures to inspire our music, or pictures to inspire lyrics, rather than, in his case, he's utilizing music to inspire words. The fourth low pressure thing you can do is, if you have a song you're developing or a song idea, just do prose writing off of that song idea. So if you don't know what prose is just plain English, right? You're not trying to write lyrics, nothing like that. You can even do bullet points if you want. If you're trying to write a song about longing to go back to the good old days of high school or something, just write off the top of your head about high school and how great it was, and allow yourself to go wherever you want to go. No lyrics, no pressure to make things rhyme, nothing like that. Just write about it. Write about it as if you're writing a letter off the top of your head, or as if you're in the middle of maybe, I don't know, Facebook messaging with a friend that you haven't talked to since high school, and you're just sort of stream of consciousness writing. Think of it like that, where there's no pressure at all, because then when you have all of that written, that actually can help you a lot with the lyric writing process later. But again, we're keeping things simple here, and we're doing low pressure things here, so you're not thinking about the end goal of writing lyrics right now. You are just writing prose. And the last low pressure songwriting thing that you can do, and this is if you already have lyrics that you've written, but maybe you're not totally done with them yet, you're not happy with all of them, is you can literally go word by word and go to thesaurus.com and find out other words that are the same meaning as the word you're using. So one of the common examples I go to, we'll just go back to that, is love, for example. The word love can be frankly kind of boring because I love The Office and Star Wars, and I also love chocolate ice cream, especially if it's dark chocolate ice cream with peanut butter. But I also love my wife, and I love my mother, and I love my friends. My love for all of those things are significantly different, right? I don't love my wife in the same way I love The Office. That would be weird and creepy. I adore my wife. That word would work for my wife. But I don't adore The Office. That would be kind of weird, right? So adore is actually a more precise, more evocative, better word to use in certain contexts than, say, love would be. And going to thesaurus.com with each of your words is a great way to upgrade your words from something that's maybe very generic, like, say, sad, and then find something that's a lot more specific that you otherwise maybe wouldn't think of if you didn't do it. And again, it is literally a copy-paste. You copy the word from your lyric, your current lyric, paste it into thesaurus.com, hit search, and then you look at the words. If there's one that's an upgrade, good for you. You just upgraded your lyric. And honestly, that is one of the biggest things you can do to really upgrade your lyrics overall. And speaking of lyrics, you'll notice that 4 of these tips were all lyrics related. And actually, all 4 of those come fairly directly from my 6-step lyric writing checklist. Some of them are parts of the different steps I talk about. It sort of covers parts of 3 of the different steps. So if you want more on that, the lyric writing process, and really breaking it down into smaller steps that are much more doable, it makes it easier to have a really killer result at the end of the day. I always talk about how my goal with my lyrics is for them to pass what I call the frame test. Basic idea of the frame test is if you print out your lyrics, put it in a frame and put it on a wall, would somebody go up to it and be like, oh, this is pretty good. That's pretty interesting. What poem is this? Would they say that? Or would they be like, what is this? Right? Because a lot of song lyrics, frankly, use the music as a crutch. The lyrics themselves don't really hold up. They wouldn't really be good if it wasn't for the fact that there's a great singer singing the melody and the lyrics, and the melody is awesome, and the guitars sound cool, so you don't even notice that the lyrics aren't very good. But when you're just reading lyrics on a wall, like you would read poetry, it's pretty hard to not notice any weaknesses in the lyric. But we want our lyrics to be just as good as poetry, so therefore, a great way to make sure they are is to do this frame test, which you don't have to literally do, but the idea here is you look at your lyrics and you ask yourself, hey, would this hold up as straight up poetry? Does it need the music to be any good? Or is it good on its own and the music makes it just even better? So if you want to make lyric writing easier for yourself and break it down into more doable baby steps and then have better results at the end of the day with lyrics that you can be proud of, be sure to check out that guide. Link in the description down below. It's at songwritertheory.com/lyric checklist. But again, link in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful to you. Now go out and do some songwriting, and I'll talk to you in the next one.